Okay, let's get into this. Welcome to the deep dive, where we try to, cut through the noise and get straight to what matters. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the IELTS exam. That's the International English Language Testing System. For so many of you listening, this is a really big deal, uh, a vital step maybe for studying overseas or for work or even migration. It really is a global benchmark.
It really is. And what's interesting about IELTS, I think, is how comprehensive it is. It's not just a simple English check. It properly assesses your skills across four key areas: listening, reading, writing, and, of course, speaking.
Right, all four.
Exactly. And that thoroughness, that's why it's trusted by, well, loads of universities, employers, governments all over the world. They see it as solid proof you can handle English. And, there are the two main types, right? The academic one people often need for uni,
Mhm.
and then the general training, which is often more for work visas or migration purposes. Slightly different focus.
Exactly. So, okay, what does this mean for you listening right now? Maybe you're just starting to think about IELTS, maybe you're already studying hard. Our aim here today is to give you some genuinely useful strategies, maybe some insights you hadn't considered. We really want you to feel more confident, more prepared for tackling this pretty crucial test. You might know the basics, but there's always more depth.
Well, yeah, for instance, a lot of test takers get really hung up on just learning vocabulary lists or basic grammar rules. But a key thing, especially if you're aiming for those higher band scores, isn't just correct grammar. It's about the range of grammar you use and how accurately you use it.
Range and accuracy, okay.
Yeah, can you actually use complex sentences, different structures, without making lots of little errors? That makes a huge difference, particularly in the writing and speaking parts.
That's a really good point. I remember hearing about someone who was like really worried about their accent in the speaking test.
Common worry.
Yeah, but then they realized actually it wasn't the accent holding them back. It was more about not developing their ideas enough or, not linking them smoothly. It's not just what you're saying.
It's how you structure it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The speaking test, especially that part 3, it requires more than just chatting. It's like giving a mini presentation almost.
Yeah.
You need to develop points, give reasons, maybe speculate a bit.
Right.
And in the writing, understanding the difference between, say, coherence, that's the logical flow of your ideas, and cohesion, the actual words, the linking phrases you use, that's vital. Too many people just kind of list points.
Instead of building an argument.
Exactly. Or for the academic writing task 1, with the graphs and charts, the key isn't just listing all the numbers. It's about spotting the main trends, picking out the most important features, synthesizing the information. It's analysis, not just description.
Okay, so it sounds like it's less about just pure language knowledge and maybe more about how you apply that knowledge strategically, especially under, exam pressure.
That's a great way to put it.
That's where the deep dive really helps, understanding those strategies. So thinking about pitfalls. What's a common mistake people make, maybe in the reading section, that catches them out?
Oh, and reading, definitely. Beyond just tricky vocabulary, a really common issue is misunderstanding the nuances in question types, like the difference between true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given. They seem similar, but they test slightly different things, facts versus opinions or views.
Ah,
And people waste so much time looking for an exact match for an answer when maybe the text only implies something, or maybe the information just isn't there at all that's the not given. The trick is really careful, active reading, focusing on the precise wording of the question, not just scanning for keywords.
That's a fantastic point. It really highlights that IELTS isn't solely testing your English vocabulary and grammar in isolation. It's testing how you use English to understand, to process information, and express yourself within quite specific rules and time limits. It's a skill in itself, isn't it? Almost like learning the rules of a specific game.
It absolutely is. And when you master these kinds of nuances, the IELTS test shifts, doesn't it? It stops being just this obstacle you have to get over. It becomes actual proof that you can operate effectively, whether that's in an academic setting or a professional one,
Yeah.
in English. And its wide acceptance
Yeah.
by all those institutions and governments, that really cements it as a kind of global passport. It opens doors.
Yeah, opens doors to personal goals, study plans, career moves, all across the world. And that's why getting underneath the surface, understanding these deeper strategies is just so valuable. Okay, so let's leave you with a final thought to consider. Given how comprehensive IELTS is and how important it is globally for study, work, migration, what single aspect of using English, maybe beyond just knowing the words and the grammar rules, what aspect do you think is the most critical skill to truly master for a test this important and this widely accepted? Something to ponder.